Hey folks, Dr. Turpo here, just offering perspective on love and life. Let me get my seat adjusted here, get the screen adjusted. And today I want to talk about, I think, a very important ingredient in a marriage and a committed relationship such as a marriage. This is very important when you have a marriage, but it's even more extremely important when you're trying to heal from infidelity, okay? So, but even if you're not trying to heal from infidelity, it is very important that you have this ingredient in your marriage. And what ingredient is that? And that is the ingredient of being transparent. Okay, you need to have transparency in your marriage. What do we mean by that? Meaning that there's no secrets. Of course, you're going to have some mental secrets in your mind. You don't have to share everything that's in your head. But there's a great deal of your life needs to be transparent, and your partner should be able to have access to your behavior, your interactions with other people. Okay. Because if your partner does not have that access to knowing about your interactions with other people, it can create situations that may lead to some untrustworthy behavior. So we need a transparent marriage, ideally, in order to have a strong marriage, a marriage based on trust. When we're talking about an orthodox marriage, where we're talking about loyalty and sexual exclusivity and those types of things. So number one, your partner needs to be able to have access to your interactions with other people. Okay. Also, keep in mind that this new technology we have with the internet, telephones, cell phones, these things should be open to your partner, to your spouse. If you're going to be married, you really need to give up this whole idea of trying to have a strong degree of privacy in your relationship. My wife has access to my cell phone. She knows that I have a code on here, but she knows the code. I know the code to her phone. You should be able to have access, if you wanted to, have access to the email account of your partner or the Facebook account. These things are these are the things that are that help with transparency, and it helps to build trust in your relationship. And if you're not up to anything, if you don't have anything to hide, you shouldn't have a problem with that. And if you got a problem with that, maybe there's some things that you're trying to hide. So let's just keep it real. Now, the other thing too is that when you're transparent, it also helps you to behave. So if I know that my spouse has access to my phone and my text messages and my email, then it'll make me want to make sure, you know what, it'll give me another reason why I need to behave myself. Okay, so this whole internet and smartphones and the things that we got going on now, all that should be open to your spouse. My wife, I'll catch her. She'll give me some of my mail sometimes. I'm like, hey, why is this open? And she'll say, well, I opened it. And then I just start teasing her. I was like, you need to respect my privacy. How come you open my mail? And she says, true enough, she says to me, she said, you ain't got no privacy. You gave that up when you said I do, which is true. When you say I do in a traditional Orthodox type marriage, you're giving up your privacy, because marriage is a coming together of two souls. It is not come together like this, and that we live separate lives, just housemates, and we got married to say to society that we're married, but we're still going to live our separate lives. Marriage is two souls coming together like this. And so part of that is being transparent and not to have these private lives separate from each other. So, I highly recommend. It's a key ingredient. It makes marriages strong. It builds trust. It heals from infidelity. And so we need to think about these things. Now, you have to understand that when you have your own phone number to your cell phone, you have your own email address, this does not mean that you get to have a private life in your marriage. You don't get to have a private life within your marriage. If you consider the whole check this out. If you consider the whole span of human history, okay, it is just within this little bit of point in human history that we've had things like cell phones. It's about that little bit small that we've had cell phones, individual cell phones, and we've had email boxes, email addresses. When I was coming up, we had one address in our household, and the mail would come to that one mailbox. You go and you get the letters, and you put the letters out, and people get to see who got mail from whom. And then that everybody kind of knew what was going on. We didn't have an individual mailbox. Each person in the household had their own mailbox. When I was coming up, we usually had, most people had one phone line. Every once in a while, there would be two phone lines. But most people had one phone line. Phone would ring. Somebody would answer the phone, whoever's closest, hello. And they'd say, may I speak to so-and-so? And then you would say, sure, hold on, please. May I ask who's calling? And then you go get that person. So you knew who was calling the house. You knew who was sending a message to the address to other people in your home. This type of setup was more conducive to merging a life of transparency and for families. Now, this new dynamic in the past, 20 years, now everybody's got their own mailbox. Everybody's got their own phone line. And so now it's just become such a normal way of life that the younger generations are growing up thinking that's how it's supposed to be. And then when you get married, that shouldn't be any different. That your spouse should respect your privacy and should not know about the phone calls that you have, should not know about your email. And so this is creating a culture where we don't completely merge our lives. We can come together, but we have separate lives in our household, and we have private lives. And that creates a fertile environment for things such as infidelity, outside relationships. And so we need to protect this because we're not going back. We're not going to stop having cell phones. We're not going to stop having email. We just have to recognize that the benefits, this technology has created many great benefits. I'm not giving up my cell phone. I'm not going to stop doing email. But we also have to understand that just like it gives a lot of benefits, it also has some cons. It has some negatives that we have to protect ourselves, control that thing. And one of the things that we have to do to protect ourselves is to protect our family life and protect the intimacy that we have in our marriages in particular. And it would behoove you not to try to have a private life. It would behoove you not to try to be so secretive about your email and your cell phone. Again, as I mentioned before, if you would go ahead and stop trying to have a private life, you will actually do a better job of being faithful in your marriage. If you just go ahead and swallow and digest that I'm in this thing and I'm really going to be committed and I'm not going to try to live a double life. But the more you set things up where it makes it easy for you to have a double life, then you're working against yourself. So we should actually be setting ourselves up for success by not creating and defending and trying to have a private life from our spouse. That's antithetical to what marriage is. So we want to make sure that we create more transparency, not less transparency in our lives. Now, what do you have private to yourself? You have your mind, your thoughts. They can't read your mind. But your actions in a marriage should be an open book, because this is what breeds trust, which is a fundamental pillar in having a high quality marriage. So just wanted to share this perspective. I think, again, having a high level of transparency in your marriage is key and utmost necessary ingredient if you're trying to heal from an infidelity occurrence. But even if you're not trying to heal from infidelity, you definitely need to have transparency in your marriage, because it will build up a nice bond of trust and will help you relax in your relationship. And there's just so much benefit to having that type of relationship where your transparency is key. So I know I did a lot of talking today, but I just want to really drive home, because the direction of our society, we're not paying attention to it. And as we get these private phone lines and email addresses, it's making us think that privacy is king, privacy is king, privacy is king. And it may be, we do need to respect people's privacy rights, but when you get into a marriage household, you need to understand that privacy can also be a detriment, particularly when you're talking to about a marriage bond. A marriage bond is about nakedness and intimacy and merging, not putting walls up, not separating, not hiding. Okay? So take it for what it's worth. I think it's worth a lot. It's up to you to decide what it is worth for you. If you like these videos, please click like and also subscribe to this YouTube channel. And please share this video with others. I think you might find people that might appreciate some different perspectives sometimes that might relate to them. So please share these videos if you find them helpful. Harmonious wishes.